What's up everyone, welcome to the video. So if you've been following along with the Frankenstein Coyote build, we are now at the stage where the motor is done and we're going to go ahead and start swapping it. So I'm going to not really show you every step of the way, but try and show you some of the more important steps that I go through, as well as I guess kind of point out maybe any difficulties that I have with this, because this is my actual first time ever pulling the motor out of this car or any car, so it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to the learning experience. You guys can probably laugh at me along the way, which is all good because I got it done at the end of the day. Spoiler alert. My outfit may look familiar because I'm also working on the fuel system at the same time. I have obviously gotten started and gotten a little bit of progress done already. Just kind of pulled the intake stuff, coil covers, battery, a couple things up here. Obviously cleaning out for the fuel system stuff, but the main things moving forward is that I get under the car, pull the exhaust, the drive shaft, and the transmission. That's like the main things underneath the car, and that at that point I'll be able to kind of finish what I was doing with the fuel system, you know, drop the tank a little bit more, actually get access to what I need to get access to, because the evap line kind of runs alongside of the tank, like real tucked up in there, so I have to drop the tank to get access to that. So a lot of under the car stuff right now. I'm probably not going to show a lot of that, but we'll kind of pick back up once we're on the top side of everything. Alright, so it's now the next day. Figured I'd kind of give you guys a quick update where I'm at. As you can see, we got pretty much everything torn down in the engine. The lift plate's on place. So basically, in terms of pulling the engine, all I gotta do is remove the motor mounts and then like a little bit of harness stuff, as well as the AC compressor. I gotta disconnect that from underneath, so that's chilling. Drained all kinds of fluids, fuel, coolant, brake fluid, clutch stuff, same fluid, but drain the oil. I left the filter on after draining it just so that it kind of protects it, and as you can see we have the trans chilling. But I did obviously drop the manifold onto the new motor here, and then I was getting the fuel rail switched around, and believe it or not, this is an eBay fuel rail, so it's actually worked pretty good for me. It originally came with this little piece, which was separate. I had to obviously put it together. That's kind of like the crossover for the front, the stock rail. And then they also came with this crossover line, which is like a little 90-degree fitting, and then the T fitting here, which I kind of like better, because when the fuel comes in, it doesn't come in one, has to cross over and then go around. It just comes in, goes across, and straight down both of them. So this is a little bit backwards because it's running the fuel rail from the back to the front, but I don't think that's going to be much of an issue because the fuel rail pressure should be the same no matter what. I can already hear the comment section blowing up because I have a freaking eBay fuel rail, but I'll tell you this, it's worked pretty good for me so far, so whatever, gonna keep sending it. So look at that motor though, dude. Looks sick. Pumped about this. All right, finally there. Everything is disconnected from the motor. And then the last thing you need to make sure you do, there's a ground strap on the back of the motor. That's just a 10mm bolt, pull that off. So I am gonna go ahead and give a quick attempt to see how high I can get the motor without dropping the car. It's time to give it a shot. And I figured out I was able to put the quick jack pump off to the side, so I don't have to actually disconnect those lines to get the engine jack in here. So we're gonna see how this goes. Wish me luck. I'm gonna pause real quick and pull the radiator because I think I'm gonna run out of clearance here in a second. Got the radiator out, way more space now, so we should be able to pull this out no problem. Let's get to it. Zip tying the AC condenser up so it's not dinged. So much freaking cool. much goddamn coolant, dude. You just won't stop.
A few moments later.
Alright, it's been another like 10 minutes or so. It finally stopped. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this thing now. Ridiculous. Shout out to Fender Gripper for cooling off my car though.
3:28 a.m.
Quick jacks, dude, for the win. So I actually have to lift it back up so I can pull the clutch the rest of the way off before I can rest it on the tires without having an issue. I'm gonna do that. So slight change of scenery. I got the motor, the old one over there, and then the new one sitting here. I've got the clutch off, and now what I'm working on, this thing keeps pissing coolant everywhere. It's like it won't stop. But I'm currently pulling off the headers now. So they all have the locking hardware, so I've been going through and removing all the locking hardware real quick, and then once I do that, I'll be able to swap the headers over. I already pulled the motor mounts off, so that's kind of where I'm at. Number one reason why you always use OEM gaskets. I figured I'd give Cook's gaskets a try just because I knew it was only going to be short term, but as you can see right here, both of those had exhaust leaks, and these were brand new gaskets when I installed them, so just figured I'd little FYI for the people. I'm going to put an OEM gaskets on the new motor as well as this one when I put the headers on this car as well. I've got brand new sets for both, so just wanted to throw it out there. I just got to repeat on the other side.
3 weeks later.
Other motor's chilling over there. And real quick before we actually start getting ready to drop this back into the car, I've already pulled the bolts off. We're going to pull the oil pan and pour like a quart of oil down the oil pickup tube, just to kind of help start obviously priming the system a little bit. We're going to turn the motor over and everything and prime before we start it, but just to encourage that there's oil in all the different galleys. There is many different places that we can get it. To start, that's what we're going to do. Alright, so we're about a half quart of oil down and the pickup tube's not draining anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's got oil all the way up to the pump and everything. This would obviously still be the case as we fill it with oil later and get it ready to start, but just to be as precautionary as possible. Alright guys, so we are officially ready to drop the motor back into the car. I finished putting up the regulator and then removed the firewall thing, got the wire routed for the power to the fuel pumps, as well as just kind of did some general cleanup, kind of made sure everything looked a little bit nicer. Cleaned up some wiring that I'd done in the past as well. And so now this is nice and ready to go. So that being said, we do have the hoist here as well as the engine stand over the engine. And I did also mount the Paxton back on the motor just to kind of simplify that process when it comes to reinstalling it on the car. So everything's ready to go. We've got a temporary oil filter on there. We're gonna start to jack this up until we see the weight come off of the stand, and then we can remove the bolts on the back from the engine lift plate, and then finally put this back in the car. Can't wait, because frankly, this shit makes me nervous. Like, I've got it on 2 tires, but every time I turn around, it starts shifting on me. So I think I've got it okay now. I don't really like how it's supported on the oil filter, but it's just to keep it from tilting anymore. So hopefully that stays for now so that we can get this in and then that on the stand so we don't have any more concerns. Cue the time lapse. Forgot to mention I do have to put the clutch on now that it's actually off the stand for the first time, which I kind of have to say is a little bit of a big moment because it's the first time this motor isn't on a stand. Pretty cool. Of course, we can't forget our fresh pilot bearing. Alright, got the clutch on, camera kind of shut off, battery died, whatever. We're just gonna pick it up here. Trying to be very careful so I don't like hit the hood. That's it. If I'm being honest, it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Probably forgetting something, given that's the case. But I really don't think I am, so I don't know. That wasn't so bad. Obviously, there's still lots left to do, but I've got the motor mounts lined up. The bolts are slid into place. Obviously, I still have to finish bolting the motor mounts down, but I mean, other than that, you know, it's just kind of putting everything back together. I'm gonna call it a night here because it is a work night. Great progress. So I will catch up with you guys after this. Something I didn't really anticipate being as difficult as it was the AC compressor. So in the past, like, I've just swapped it out, no big deal. And then, you know, to get the belt back on, the way that they typically have you do it is you throw zip ties around the belt here and then loop it through in the crank pulley. But since this is now the ATI super damper, that's not really an option. So I had to basically bolt the compressor back on and then slowly bring it back into tension with the rear bolt. So eventually it got taut and was, you know, fully bolted down again, but it was just a pain in the ass, and I figured I would make a note for anyone to keep in mind if you're going to be putting on the ATI damper on your car. But the motor mounts and everything are now bolted back down since we have the AC compressor back on. Now we can transition to reinstalling the transmission. Alright, so last piece of the puzzle just showed up today. I picked these up from Devin over at Go Hyde Racing. So if you guys aren't familiar with Go Hyde Racing, I definitely recommend checking them out. That's pretty much who I've gone to for almost all the parts for this build in terms of like OEM stuff, even aftermarket, like I said. These are Deatschwerks 1200cc injectors. They are E85 safe, and they're going to do everything we want them to do in terms of fuel flow. I have already gotten the transmission back in place now. Drive shaft is up, the drive shaft safety lube, exhaust, all of that stuff is done. I did a little bit more solidifying kind of how I have the fuel lines run underneath the car, kind of tighten them up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pull the motor plate off of the car. It was a little bit difficult getting the motor like lined up and everything because I tried to bolt the transmission down, but I figured out that it was probably about like a 1/4 inch to one side, and that's it. But I basically had the back side supported by the jack, and then loosened the motor mounts up front, took the crowbar and just kind of wedged on the motor mount itself, and I was able to shift the motor to the passenger side like that 1/4 inch or so, bolted all back up, everything lined up perfectly at that point, so then it was good to go. So now that we're on the top side of the car again, I can actually record because there's nothing to really be able to see very well on the bottom side. So I apologize if like there's not a lot of stuff you're seeing in terms of like the work part of this stuff, but you know, I am working on quick jacks. It's difficult. It's literally just me, as you guys have seen, that's done this job from start to finish. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. I'm excited to be done, dude. I can't believe I literally did a fucking motor swap, start to finish, on my own. That's nuts. So the Deatschwerks injectors are pretty slick. They actually provide a little bit of lube for you for assembly, so throw that on the O-rings before installing to kind of help make sure that they don't unseat when pushing the injector into place. And then you have the little quick connect here. So these are nice because they are different connectors on the injector. So this is kind of like a simpler way of doing it. So this just clips into place, and then this will go and clip into your stock harness so that you don't have to worry about any splicing. So with all that in place, now we can just drop the fuel rail back onto the manifold. To 89 inch-pounds, you do the same sequence, but you add like 45 degrees rotation. With all those down, we can move on to the fuel rail. Same torque settings, I believe it's 89 inch-pounds, and then you add 45 degrees, so I'll do that and come back. Alright, so to be honest, I kind of completely forgot about recording anymore. I had a bunch of jobs I did over the weekend and whatnot, so I've already pretty much wrapped up everything because I just kind of started doing that after the last job. So now what I'm doing is just going to finish transferring over the catch can stuff. So these are the PCV adapters for the valve covers. So I'm going to go ahead and swap these over, and I'll show you guys kind of the finished product. Not that it looks any different, but there's a shit ton of work that went into it. So we're at the point now where the only thing left to do is add fluids. And then turn it over, which is pretty crazy. Our first round of oil is just going to be some conventional 5W30 as per Rem Auto's recommendations, at which point, once the break-in's complete, I'll transition to 5W50, and yeah, that's that. This does also have the MMR oil pan, as you guys know. So it's supposed to be 10 quart capacity, but before I put in the full 10 quarts, I am gonna just kind of fill up to about 8 until I've turned the motor over a couple times, kind of prime everything, get the oil through the system, then check the level and kind of see where we're at, if we're on the dipstick or not. All right, so 1.5 quarts left out of the 10, which means that there's like 8.5 in the motor. just really excited. I'll catch up with you guys when I finish the coolant, I guess.
2,000 years later.
Alright dude, so we now have fluids in the car, and that was a lot of coolant. That was literally like 2.5, 3 gallons just now, and that's not even gonna fill it up, obviously. That was just for pretty much the radiator and a little bit of hose before the motor, so once the motor opens, it's gonna consume a lot more fluid. Motor swap is officially done. Everything's all buttoned up, looking mint. Obviously the covers aren't in place yet, but that's gonna be a matter of time. I'm not gonna put them on just because we're still kind of buttoning up, checking for leaks, all that good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over and get the motor primed. Or maybe not. So I tried to crank the car the other day for the first time, and nothing happened. Thought maybe it had something to do with the fuel pump wiring, so now that's all officially done. Everything's ready to go. Everything's been clipped back together. I double checked the grounds once more across the vehicle. Everything looks good. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't crank. So we're gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna key on, see if the fuel pump's prime, and then I'm gonna disconnect the fuel pump fuse so that it doesn't actually try and start on me. But we're gonna try and turn the motor over a couple times, and hopefully it cranks. I don't know what it is, man. I got more to figure out. All right, it's, I don't know when it is. It's probably like 2 days since last you guys saw me. I put the fuse for the fuel pump back in the wrong spot. You're supposed to put it in 13, slot 13, and I put it in 15 like an idiot. Now the fuel pump's primed, so Melissa was just out here helping me. I think we're gonna attempt to crank it one more time. Melissa's gonna do the honors. I'm just gonna pull the fuel pump so it doesn't actually get fuel to the motor and whatnot, so it doesn't actually accidentally start, because we're still waiting on the base tune. So let's see what happens. Did you key on? See, no fuel pump. So now if you try to like start it, nothing. Damn. Fuck. Back to the drawing board. Figured out the problem. It cranks now. Holy shit. I don't know if we got in these things a second ago, but like my fucking heart was racing. So turns out it seems like I've got something wrong with my clutch pedal switch. So I bypassed it with a wire on the chassis harness, and now it turns over. So I've already turned it over twice for a good couple, like 10 seconds or so, and I'm gonna keep doing that a couple times to get everything nice and primed. And then I will plug the fuel pump system back together, and we'll probably get our first start, which is pretty nuts. I think the first time I started, I'm supposed to let it like get up to temp and stuff, because it would be bad for the motor if I don't.
Oh.
That just means it idles for a minute or a couple minutes.
I know, but it's already midnight.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Yeah, coronavirus. It's not like people are working.
Yeah, but people have babies.
Turns itself off after like 10 seconds.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
How will you know it's ready to go?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just doing a lot.
Okay.
He said a solid 1 to 2 minutes of priming on a first start, so that makes 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we've done 50 seconds. So I figured 4 more, and that's a minute and a half. So at that point, we should be ready to plug the pump in and fucking fire it up.
Do 10 and then try it.
Okay,
One for good measure.
I like that. Oh my god. I'm fucking nervous. I want you guys to hit the like button for Melissa, because she was so excited that she fell down the stairs trying to get a battery so we can put the camera on for this. So that camera's on, but I'm also going to record my phone because I gotta get the first start.
Now I'm getting nervous.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah.
Alright. Go ahead and give it a shot. fucking gnarly. Oh my god.
Are you gonna cry?
I'm gonna wet my jimmies.
Oh god.
Wow. Somewhat speechless. Really excited that this is now officially running. And I just want to take a quick second and give a huge shout out to Eric Rockwell. I was messaging him just kind of bitching and moaning that I hadn't been able to start the car and kind of bouncing some ideas off of him. And he was like, oh, have you tried this, that, and this? And then did a couple things based on what he said. Checked the terminals on the starter. Wasn't getting power for like the clutch side when we went to hit the start. So that was kind of like, all right, well, let me trace it back to the clutch switch. That's how I figured that out. So again, big shout out to him. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be started right now. It'd probably be like another week before I even tried. With all that out of the way, we now have a fully functioning Frankenstein Coyote that's ready to fucking rip, dude. And it sounds so good with those cams. Oh my god, I about jizzed my pants, I'm not gonna lie. So motor swap is officially done. You saw it here, and with that being said, now we just have to break the motor in. But for now, that's gonna do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know this wasn't like super tutorial in terms of like motor swap. I just wanted to video document some of the stuff going on. So definitely hit the like button if you did enjoy it or are excited about what's about to come. Obviously subscribe to the channel if you want to see what's gonna come, because this thing's gonna do some stuff and I cannot wait to see what it's all about. Also, if you guys aren't already following my Instagram, you need to be doing that. PokeMasterBS 5.0. I'll link it down below. You can also check out Project Bombshell at bombshell_50. That's my wife's car that we're doing a restoration on, so you're going to want to keep up with that. And frankly, Instagram saw this car start first, so that's the biggest reason why you follow us there, because that's where you're going to be most up to date on everything. But that's going to do it, guys. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm sorry about your butt. Did it not sound amazing though?
Yeah, it sounded really good.
I can't believe how good it sounds.